Welcome back to the Suzuki Tiger Valley podcast. This is today's episode 4, and where we talk all the things about Suzuki, from design and performance to what makes our car stand out on South African roads. I'm your host, Eben van Viljoen, and joining me today here are our regular panel of members. Neville Steenkamp, our sales manager here at Miko Suzuki Tiger Valley. Good morning to you, Neville.
Morning, Eben. How's it going?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And also our leader that leads from the front, our dealer principal, Sean Palmy. Good morning.
Morning, great to be here.
And also today, we are thrilled today to have a special guest here today, and from Peter Viljoen from the Citizen Training Academy. Good morning to you, Peter.
Morning, guys. Privileged to join you today.
Yeah, it's always a privilege to have you to actually hear your voice.
Cool stuff.
Because Peter, before we're going to dive into our topic of the day, today's topic is going to be the Grand Vitara. And before this, there's another. Before I forget, our listeners, if you tuned in, get your questions ready, because at the end of the show, we are going to listen to your questions and answer them as good as possible that we actually can. So are you ready for those questions, gentlemen?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So Peter, let us start off with just a little bit to feedback to our listeners who might not know about Citizen. Can you just give us a quick overview of what the Citizen Training Academy is all about and the kind of work you do in the automotive industry?
Yeah, thanks, Eben. We're part of a general organizational development business. So we're quite lucky in that we've embedded ourselves in the motor industry. And we do everything from recruitment through to research, through to call center and lead nurturing functionality. And then, of course, our big one is our training division. And so we're able to tap into the benefit of exposure to a whole range of different customers, not only in South Africa, but throughout Africa, the Middle East, and in fact, even into the Australasian markets. And that's where we get most of our insights and learnings is from the dealers and our interactions with them. And we're happy to always then share that in the training that we provide the dealerships.
Okay, thank you for that, Peter. And I think me and Neil also went through your hands as well in previous training.
Yeah, several times. No, we've met a couple of times, and it's amazing what Peter and do at Citizen, and the level of involvement and professionalism that they handle the training with is next to none. So we do thank you for that, Peter. It's such a pleasure to work with you guys.
Well, thank you very much. You too, kind.
Right, let us dive into today's topic. That's the Suzuki Grand Vitara. And Peter, I'm going to start with you in this conversation. So Peter, from a training and industry perspective, and also you work with many brands and dealerships, what do you think that Suzuki has done right with the evolution of the Grand Vitara's name?
Well, I think, if I can just maybe take a feather from the cap of the chief engineer, Koichiro Fukushima, and we met him, actually. It was quite an interesting guy to meet. And, in his message, when he announced the launch of this vehicle, he really focused on the fact that it's still an authentic compact SUV. Now, I know the history of it starts off with it being quite a rugged sort of 4x4 type of compact SUV, and it's evolved over the years into perhaps something that's more in line with what a modern customer wants, or a new era of SUV. But I think what's key here is that the things that have made Suzuki successful, being reliability and customer satisfaction, have been retained with this vehicle. But they've also focused on what the customer's needs are in a modern context.
Yeah, that's quite correct in the sense I think you didn't agree with what the customer wants, because the customers are the people that are calling the shots. Anyway, so Sean, are you ready? I'm going to be throwing you a little bit of a curveball here.
You can go.
So the Grand Vitara has a bit of a cult following in South Africa as well. So what do you think has made the name so special over the years?
Well, look, as Peter mentioned, the vehicle started out many years ago as we want to refer to it as a more rugged sort of off-road type of vehicle, but it's evolved over the years. And the value proposition aside, the overall reliability and capability of the vehicle and the usability it presents in everyday life. And you know, as I mentioned, the vehicle having evolved to where it is today, it's a trusted name, it's a trusted brand, and you know, not too unlike the Suzuki Jimny. The Grand Vitara has always stood out as almost in the sense of a cult following type of vehicle, and people generally trust the overall offering. And I just find that the existing car that we sell now, it's an excellent value for money proposition at every level.
Yeah, so I also think that's become a household name, eh?
Sure, yes.
So, Neville, just from your side, you've seen customers react to this new model in the showroom. Not so new anymore. I think this one has been released in end of 2022. Eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
2022.
How do they see the new Grand Vitara compared to the older ones? Because there's a lot of reactions from customers on the
So, I mean, they're quite amazed with the change that's happened from the old one in terms of the technology changes. I mean, as you remember, the old one came in a turbo engine as well, which was quite a little amazing engine that was in that one. But the people are just as amazed as the vehicle progresses and evolves. I mean, we're looking more at fuel economy as well at the end of the day, without compromising on power of the vehicle. And that's where a lot of the people, they're amazed to see what the vehicle has gone through in terms of its evolution and where it's currently standing and how premium and stylish this version is, as opposed to the previous version, which was also at its time premium and stylish, but with natural progression, it becomes more premium and more stylish. So overall, the people, it's massively good feedback on the vehicle. It's a brilliant family SUV that the guys, especially startup families, being that value proposition in the vehicle. You've got a startup family, you've got one child on the way. We actually just delivered a vehicle, the Grand Vitara, that the client, his wife's 8 months pregnant, and he said this is the only vehicle he can look at in terms of what they want, ticks all their boxes in terms of safety, value, capacity, engine capacity, fuel consumption. And he actually sent me a little spreadsheet of what his breakdown is with monthly costs, and he said this is the only car that works for him. So yeah, it's a big notch on the Grand Vitara.
Thank you for that one, Neville. And if you just joined us now, you tuned into our podcast, our Suzuki Tiger Valley podcast. This is our 4th episode that we're running today. So if you do have questions at the end of the show, we're going to give you a chance we're going to listen to your questions. You can voice note your questions to us, and also we can listen and we're going to answer them to our ability, the best of our ability. Right, we're moving over to section 2 today, and that's the design and the first impressions of the Grand Vitara. So Peter, again, I'm going to start off with you. From a brand training perspective, how important is it that the first impression a customer gets when they walk up to a car like this?
Oh, it's absolutely critical, and we teach this even in the training. We speak about moments of truth. And, traditionally we've measured the first moment of truth, second moment of truth, and a third moment of truth. And, a customer now has a 0 moment of truth where they've done a lot of research online. They've seen pictures, they've seen driver reviews. They're really armed to the teeth with information. And so the second moment of truth, when they actually are looking at the vehicle for the first time physically, we need to be able to match and exceed the expectations that customers have developed online. And there's no doubt that this is where the Grand Vitara really, really does a great job, because I don't think anybody can possibly be disappointed when they first clap eyes onto the vehicle physically.
Thank you for that one. And Neville, customers, you also deal with customers on the floor and getting to meet them. Do you have any experience on when they first walk around the Grand Vitara? What are their first comments? Have you experienced over the years?
The bold design, the Grand Vitara, the first one is the grille. It's actually the bold front grille that they see in the vehicle itself. The LED headlights, the strong character lines that gives it its premium confident look. It sets aside in the market what you get in that segment. it's a massively premium feel vehicle from the first impressions that you get there, as I just mentioned, with the grille, the LED lights, the bold design of the vehicle. It harnesses the client as soon as he gets in. It's very good feedback on the vehicle itself.
Okay, as we know, we do have the GL and also the GLX. And Sean, just for the interior for you, just talk us through it, how you find it.
The interior of the vehicle.
Yes.
Yes. No. I mean, interesting enough, when they first arrived locally, I was amazed by the overall look of the vehicle. I just found it from the get-go, and I'm always looking at new cars. I loved the look of the car from the day it was launched. But in getting back to the interior, just as modern as the car looks on the outside, and I mean the car's really aging very well, because we're heading into 2026, which, well, what does that mean? The car's been around for almost 4 years. No?
That's correct.
The interior still feels thoroughly premium and thoroughly modern, and with obviously on the higher spec models with all the additional features, just the way the switch gear has been arranged in the car, and kind of everything is sort of in easy eye line sight, I almost want to say. The layouts are very clear, and what I like about the interior on the Grand Vitara, it's not overcomplicated, it's not fussy, it's a very usable vehicle, but it still has a nice premium feel. And I've noticed that when people get into the Grand Vitara, they immediately feel at home in the vehicle, and it has a roomy, airy feel about it, and it kind of bodes well for various buying decisions.
And sorry for that one, Neil, to interrupt you there. And Peter, also, I do think that the cabin feels premium, eh? It's got a premium feeling.
It does, and that's where, again, it might be considered to be a vehicle that comes in at a keen price, but actually, if you compare it to some of the premium products out there, it really does match them. And you can feel it when you're driving it, and certainly the way the vehicle ages. You don't hear rattles and squeaks out of the Grand Vitara, even when it's a number of years old, and that really, for me, is the testimony to the quality and the premium nature of the vehicle interior-wise.
Yeah. Just to quickly add on to the design, I mean, there is the new little, it's not really a facelift design that came in. They made a bit of changes to the Grand Vitara that just came out now, which is the new design alloy wheels and the rear roller sunshade. That's also being added to the Grand Vitara, that's currently being rolled out in South Africa. So that's they even bettered a bit on the car. Just small little changes, but yeah, changes nonetheless to a good thing. So a really good car.
That's a rollout on the new one, eh?
That's on the new one, yeah.
Okay, just for our listener out
the
there,
GLX
can you
model.
just repeat that new?
So on the GLX model, there's newly designed alloy wheels. The advertising will be put on and see what the design is, what it looks like, and also a rear roller sunshade. So for the back windows, a little sunshade roller that helps with the kids, especially with kids.
I think that's bonus.
Sitting in the back, which is bonus, yeah.
Thank you for that one, Neville. And we're going over to our next section, the section 3, and that is comfort and practicality. And Neville, while we were speaking out there, we're going to start off with you on this round. So Neville is currently driving, I think, the demonstration model of the Grand Vitara.
Yes.
So from your perspective, what stands out the most from behind the wheel?
So from a driver perspective, because I'm mostly driving the car on my own, because I do have another vehicle at home as well, so it's an everyday car for me to drive. So from this purely driver perspective, the seats are extremely supportive. Visibility is excellent in the vehicle. I mean, the adjustments on the seat can go up, down, backwards, forwards. So even for your shorter or longer individual, there's always comfort. There's that comfort factor to make sure that you always have that good visibility, and it's an extremely supportive, comfortable drive. The suspension, the setup of the suspension strikes a perfect balance between firm and forgiving in the car as well. It handles the road extremely well, and even on even roads. Not that we have a lot of them here in the Western Cape. Luckily, the roads are very nice. So, but if you want to go off-roading with a car, I've been on a gravel road with a car. The suspension is immaculate. It drives very well.
Sean, space-wise?
Yeah, and 210 millimeters of ground clearance.
Yes,
That's the real deal. You know, the on a gravel road, and I've driven a Grand Vitara on a short gravel road, and it felt amazing. Yes.
Well, the Grand Vitara, from my perception, is a very soft drive. It's a very, even like you said, if you go on a gravel road, it's that soft suspension that's doing it for me. And Sean, just to get on that other point quickly, space-wise.
Yes. So what is interesting to note, if one sort of looks at the variance between rear legroom, cabin space, in other words, driver sitting behind himself, it's something that stands out on the Grand Vitara. So it doesn't matter. It almost doesn't matter how short or how tall you are comfortably able to sit behind yourself. But here's the interesting part: even though that is possible, there is still a speak under correction, I think it's a 317-liter boot with the seats fully in place. And with the seats folded down, there's over 1,000 liters of loading space in that vehicle. So if you really do need to go camping, your Grand Vitara will be an excellent partner to park your tent on.
Yeah, I think that the Grand Vitara is like sort of a dual-purpose vehicle anyway.
Absolutely.
So, Peter, you work with dealer staff across the country. So, how much does the interior, let's say, practicality factor into the customer satisfaction from what you have seen?
Well, I think the challenge for the Grand Vitara is that it's actually got quite a big job to perform, because I always like to say it's difficult to try and please all the people all the time. And what you have is customers have got expectations that the vehicle needs to represent great value, not just in price, but value in terms of the usage that they're going to get out of the vehicle. So, we see with the Grand Vitara that customers want to have the best of both worlds. They want a vehicle that's practical as a daily commuter vehicle, but then on weekends it needs to transform into a weekend warrior. And I think that there's no doubt that's what the Grand Vitara does well. So it's a utility vehicle in name, but it's also it's got versatility in terms of what it does. So it's very versatile between being a daily commuter, and then you can use it for the weekends. And if you're spending that much time inside the interior of the vehicle, it's got to be right, and there's no doubt that it is.
Yeah, that's a very good point that you just made there, Peter, because the multi-purpose vehicle, weekends warrior, and in the week like a sort of runaround or a mom's taxi. And we all our customers, I think you guys agree, all our customers that bought the Grand Vitara, they're highly satisfied on that.
Very, very, very. We've seldomly had a complaint on the Grand Vitara. I mean, the customer is well informed before he gets to the dealership, and we just facilitate the process because it's such an amazing vehicle. So very satisfactory customers. Yeah.
Thank you for that one, Neville. Right, you tune in to Miko Suzuki Tiger Rally's podcast, episode 4. Today we are running the facts on the Suzuki Grand Vitara. And to your listeners out there, please get your questions in for the end of the program. We can listen to them and answer them. And I see already Albert is there, Amy is there, Maury is there. So just keep them rolling in. Section 4 we're going to now, that's performance and the drive feel. So, Sean, let us talk performance. The Grand Vitara runs a Suzuki trusted 1.5 litre petrol engine. In your opinion, how does it perform day to day?
Okay, so it will vary from person to person, but if one factors in the weight of the car, the 77 kilowatt power delivery, and I'm going to refer to the automatic gearbox versions because those are the ones I've driven most, and the combination of just being able to allow the car to drive itself on its own momentum, it produces a lot of a low down torque capability, which allows the vehicle, considering its size, to feel like it's powered by a far more powerful, a far larger capacity engine. And I mean, I've driven Grand Vitaras, and Neville is driving one home and back every day. A good 15 kilometers to a liter is a reality, even though you're sitting with a vehicle that is producing just about 200 Newton meters of torque. And it is a very comfortable vehicle for everyday driving, and it's not designed for racing purposes. But as an everyday runabout and a vehicle to travel anywhere in South Africa, it's a joy to drive the vehicle. It never feels slow, it never feels underpowered, and it always feels comfortable. And there's an ease of use feeling when you're behind the wheel.
I just want to come in there, Sean, about the fuel efficiency. It's very fuel efficient.
Absolutely.
I had customers that got 18 k's per liter, 17.2.
Wow.
I never got it. I think my foot is too heavy on that one.
Yeah.
But Peter, if you just can join in here quickly on the 1.5 liter engine. So some of the potential customers that you had felt, and I'm not like sort of contradicting your statement here, felt like the engine is too sluggish. Have you had that encounter in the past?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to deal with those kind of objections from customers, and that's why test drives are so important, because, what Suzuki's got that's pretty unique, I think, in the industry in terms of the way that it specifies its engines and designs its engines, goes around the fact that if we have a look at typically the bore stroke ratios of the motors, and the K15B, the 1.5 litre is a great example of this, we see a very close ratio of almost 1-to-1. In other words, the bore and the stroke are just about the same. Now, what that means is that actually we have the best of both worlds. On the one hand, if you want a nice, smooth, comfortable, very fuel-efficient drive, then you can keep the revs nice and low, and that's what you'll get. But the benefit of having a bore-stroke ratio like we have on the Grand Vitara is that the engine is actually free revving. And that free revving nature of the motor then starts to give the vehicle a bit more of a sprightly performance. So I think if you're able to sell that across and demonstrate that to the customer, then you're going to certainly settle their minds about the perceived performance. And the other thing that I'd like to say as well is that it's not only the engine that defines the performance. I mean, Sean spoke about how comfortable it is for him in driving the auto, because you must remember that the engine packaged together with the rest of the drivetrain and including the gearbox. Gearbox ratios play such an important role in, I want to say, translating the performance of the motor to the tarmac. So between all of those, I don't have any doubts that you can still get a bit of a sprightly performance out of the Grand Vitara if you want.
Peter, I just wanted to mention this. I always want to say the square bore and stroke. Doesn't that translate to what they would refer to as a fairly flat torque curve, which kind of allows the vehicle to feel as if it's very easy to drive?
Well, there's so many things, I suppose, that can contribute towards let's say, a flatter torque curve. So we look at the engine management system, we look at the head and how the variable valve timing works in concert with everything else. So there's a whole lot of factors, and that's a great point, because again, we can't just look at the figures that we generate in terms of the power output and the torque. We've got to look at the range of revs that we achieve those figures, and that tells maybe a more honest story about the engine.
I just find that in mid-range revs, I find I call the Grand Vitara the GV. I just find that it's an extremely easy vehicle to get on with.
And I think that's the way they've designed it. It's going to be fuss-free. It's going to give you an enjoyable drive. And again, if we're saying that this is a vehicle that you're going to spend a lot of time in during the week and on weekends, I tell you something, to have an overly high-performance motor can sometimes be an uncomfortable thing. So it's not designed for that purpose, and that's why, as you described, it's a very, very seamless experience when you drive the Grand Vitara.
Neville, let's go to the Grand Vitara's predecessor. That's the Brezza, the Suzuki Brezza.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Okay. After the Brezza was discontinued, Now all of a sudden it looks like the France is the predecessor of the Brezza. But anyway, how does it compare to something like the France and the Brezza in terms of your driving feel?
In terms of driving feel, okay, number one, it's two different vehicles, in my personal opinion, and also in the market in terms of segment. But if you take, it's got the same, similar engine derivative, same engine in the vehicle itself. So in terms of drive comfort, obviously the France and the Brezza that has been discontinued. So I'm actually just going to do a comparison with the France. The France is a bit smaller, so it's a lighter vehicle as well. It's a completely different car. It doesn't have as much space as the Grand Vitara, but brilliant vehicle nonetheless. In terms of drive feel, again, it's two different cars. So the Grand Vitara in itself has got a more strong, sturdier, weightier body feels when you drive the vehicle itself. So it feels a bit more, got a bigger presence on the road, seeing as it's a bigger vehicle in itself. And it gives you that SUV confidence. It gives you that I've got a bigger car on the road. I do have a bit more presence.
Feel a bit more muscle.
Muscly, yeah. And I mean, it's why they bring out the bigger vehicles in itself. And it's still having that presence. It's still easy to maneuver in traffic, and also easy to maneuver on the road as well. It's a very sturdy vehicle to control, but a very easy vehicle to control. So no, it's a brilliant drive.
That was a very valid point from your side, Neville. Right, we move on to our section 5, and that is technology and features. So Sean, being launched, as Neville said, in the end of 2022, Suzuki really stepped up in the tech department with this model. Okay, so that's when this tech first came out. So what stands out to you in terms of features?
Yes, well, I mean, if you go and go and study the price and spec sheet of all our legacy brands and our traditional manufacturers and some of the premium brands, you know, they sell you a body shell and 4 wheels, and then every single item you ever want to add to your car, you need to pay for. Countering that, you arrive at your Suzuki dealership and you order yourself even the base spec on the Grand Vitara, and you realize that you don't need to worry about using a key to unlock your car. You have a keyless go system on what is effectively an entry-level model car, and then you move up to the GLX, and it's glass roofs, and it's 360-degree cameras, and it's climate control systems, and multiple airbags. It is an amazing vehicle with amazing features and a lot of spec that every other car manufacturer is going to ask you to pay a lot more money for. And in the Grand Vitara, it's based in standard, and the two-tone body colors. The car looks so premium in some of the color options that are available, and that's what stands out for me mostly on the features and spec of the Grand Vitara, yeah.
And I think that the Grand Vitara GLX, Neville, the GLX, and I'm maybe talking a little bit negative now, but it's not a negative point as such, because some of the customers, and Peter, you can also fill me in here, as like sort of on a GLX, they'd rather go for a GL because some customers do not prefer the sunroof. I don't know if you agree on that.
Yes, it all depends. So the biggest factor for the sunroof, and I mean there's a practical reason behind it, is because the customers, the biggest objection, if I can put it that way, is the cover for the sunroof, is that little perforated cover. So it lets out of lets in a lot of sun, and a lot of the customers think, oh, they're gonna be hot, which is contradictory to the fact. The sun doesn't directly shine on you; it just lets in more light. That's the reasoning behind it. It doesn't heat up the vehicle per se, as opposed to normal blanked out cover for the sunroof. But yeah, the vehicle in itself, it comes standard, specifically referring to the GLX now, with amazing technology, wireless charging, heads-up display monitor, things that you would expect in a top-of-the-range BMW, if I can compare it to that. So no, it's got everything. It's got everything you need. I mean, technology-wise, besides your passive and active safety features in the vehicle, technological features in the vehicle is up there, right up there.
So yeah, Peter, and so in your world, and technology often defines perception. So how do you see this helping the Suzuki's brand image, also for future purposes?
You know, whenever we do product training, we always go to great lengths to stress the fact that we almost feel that customers should feel embarrassed paying the prices that they do for the vehicles, because they're just so packed with technology and safety features. It's astounding, really, if you think about it. So the value proposition that the Grand Vitara presents is next level, and again, one of the key success factors for Suzuki. And I must say that you know, also looking at recent studies that have been done on customers and what they want out of a vehicle, it's been quite surprising for me to have a look at the results of these surveys, because we sometimes intuitively think it's one thing, but actually one of the things that customers and modern customers, especially millennial and Gen Z customers, are looking for is technology. It's pretty much a must-have. And, you know, so advanced safety features and the connectivity and infotainment systems, not only have they got to be there, they've got to be convenient and seamless. And, you know, just as a bit of from a humorous side of things, you know, I often look at my kids as being the real sort of research that I depend on, and whenever I put them in vehicles, I listen very closely to their opinions, and certainly the Grand Vitara is one of their firm favorites, because it really does tick off everything that they would want out of a vehicle.
Yeah, about the tech, about the vehicles, you just talk about the Gen Z. That's about technology. I think that my generation also, Gen X, and the millennials also.
Oh, of course, yes. I mean, there's a bit of a gap between the Gens at the end of the day, but I mean, technology is a major driving factor in the industry. It's like Peter just adding on to what Peter said. It's a given when buying a vehicle. Tech needs to be up there.
Even for me,
which the Grand Vitara does well.
Getting used to that, it's actually a must-to-have, future-wise. And Peter was talking about safety, and that's going to be our next point, our next section, safety and reliability. So Peter sits and works closely with dealer training. So how important is reliability and safety messaging when it comes to closing a deal?
I think it's again, you know, it's such a privilege to be able to work with a brand like Suzuki, because every touch point is dealt with by the brand, and again, if we look at reliability first, the vehicles are just simply rock solid when it comes to reliability, and it's almost legendary out in the industry. And certainly, if I talk to other brands and I listen to what they say, there's a high degree of jealousy from them about the reliability that Suzuki has, and certainly the market can smell that, and customers definitely want that. So it's very, very important. And then safety as well. You know, these are, at the end of the day, you know, in general, Suzuki's aimed at a younger market, so perhaps young drivers, but certainly with the Grand Vitara, we're going to be putting our families in there, and we place a high premium on the fact that there's so many safety features. And if you consider the GLX, for example, with 6 airbags, ABS, EBD, ESP, and all the other acronyms that we can throw at it, there's no doubt that we should be shouting from the hilltops about the fact that we have all of those, but still at a great price point.
But the GL also has got seat airbags.
Yes, now, yeah.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, the GL also has. No, from start.
Oh, from start.
Yes, from start, the GL. Am I right there, Peter? The GL also from start it had seat airbags.
Yep, correct.
Yeah.
On the Grand Vitara,
yeah, definitely on Grand Vitara, and that's what made the. And I think, out of a sales perspective, that's why the GL Grand Vitara affordable. And that's why it sells, because the safety feature with 6 airbags was a major concern to customers, and that's why it was so easy to sell a GL. From your perspective, Sean?
Oh, without a shadow of doubt. 6 airbags, ABS brakes, electronic brake distribution, ESP program, hill hold assist, and as you mentioned, ISOFIX. And am I right in saying that ISOFIX is standard across the range? Peter?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, so every single Suzuki except for Yeah, the Ciaz doesn't have Isofix, but everything else has Isofix.
Yes. I had that experience when I tried to sell to a customer Ciaz. I said, yes, it has got. I'm looking for that.
And you know what else has happened? I mean, the total sum of the parts, as I mentioned earlier, in terms of the interior finishes and the spec of the cars, and then all the safety features, and you know what most other manufacturers want you to pay for. And yes, we've got our Far Eastern brands that are starting to make inroads in South Africa, but we regard Suzuki as a legacy product in South Africa, and we're still able to sell vehicles that offer as much as they do at the price point that we sell them at, and that's amazing.
Yeah, that is at the price point. I think we can't debate on that. I think that is a given. Right, we are moving on to our last section now, the section 7, and the most important one, I think, the customer and the market. Right, so Peter, from your side, and I think we're gonna give this question to everybody. How does Suzuki customer experience compare in the broader industry?
Sure, it's an interesting question, because I think everybody in the industry is trying really, really hard to develop a sense of customer satisfaction and then draw customer loyalty from that. What's amazing for me is, if I look at the data, Suzuki has an incredible retention rate. It's probably the highest in the industry retention rate when it comes to repeat customers. So customers who have bought a Suzuki tend to buy another Suzuki. So there's no doubt that Suzuki is doing all the right things because customers are coming back in their droves. I think the brand itself, one of the ways that it's doing it is, aside from the amazing product that it's got, it does have a genuinely good dealer network. And I think that there's a lot of humbleness that certainly I experience when I deal with the dealers. I think that customers feel safe, not only from a vehicle point of view, but they feel safe with the brand. They feel that they're going to get what they're promised. They're not going to be disappointed. And I'm going to leave one last thought with you guys, and that is that what we certainly experience, and we measure this throughout the industry, is that Suzuki's got the lowest staff turnover in the industry. So customers see familiar faces, and there's a lot of consistency with that. And I think that brings a lot of comfort to customers. So long may it continue.
I think, from my point of view, I think, Peter, that the Suzuki customer is a more conservative customer, depending on reliability and the durability, fuel efficiency. Am I right in saying that?
If you look at what the expectations are, for sure, that if we look at the key features that they place high importance on, you would probably consider them as conservatives. But that would be if it's the parents buying the vehicle. But I think if we look at the youngsters, they're more, I suppose, energetic than we would classify conservative customers being. So they're more the enthusiasts of the world. So I think there is a fair mix, a healthy mix of customer profiles that are attracted to the brand.
Yes. And also, who is buying, Neville, that's my question to you. Who do you identify, let's say, gender and also age group?
Sure. No, that's a difficult thing. If you're specifically focusing on the Grand Vitara, as I mentioned, and as Peter just mentioned now, I mean, that's such a wide, broad variety of client base that buys Suzukis across the board in terms of all the models. But specifically focusing on the Grand Vitara, I mean, I would say your general customer client that comes and looks at it, again, is your startup family, number one, people having kids, planning on having kids, just married, moving up in life, young professionals who started out with a Suzuki Swift, talking about return business and client retention and brand retention. People who started off with an espresso, then bought maybe a Swift and now got a nice increase or got bumped up in work and now buying a Grand Vitara. So, and I have seen that, people driving a Swift and then over 2 or 3 or 4 years, then they've been promoted at work, whatever the case might be, normal, natural progression in their workplace, and then opting for Grand Vitara because of the brand in itself. And Peter was such such truth that you spoke there in terms of the network and the customer feeling safe. It's a brilliant culture that Suzuki has created in the automotive market, and there is no other culture that I have found that is similar to what Suzuki does from a dealer network perspective.
No, I can see that as well, because you've got your loyal Suzuki customer starts off with the entry-level vehicle, trades in, and trades in again.
Yeah,
you see that, Sean?
That's good value on the second-hand market as well. So, I mean, it retains its value.
We have been talking now for nearly over 50 minutes. Our time is running out.
Sure.
We just got a couple of minutes, and that brings us to our last point. Not our last point. We're going to give you, the potential customer or customer, the chance to get us some questions. We've got 4 here. We've only got time for 4, and let's start off with Kareem.
It's Kareem from Bethlehem. So we want to find out, what is the boot capacity on your Grand Vitara?
Sean, I think that you mentioned that.
317 liters of boot space with the seats fully in place, and I think it's 1,137 liters. I could be wrong, but it's a very spacious.
Peter, would you fill on that one? Is it 317?
3110.
Very close.
Okay.
But very close.
Now, you just leave the boots a bit open.
Or breathe a little bit in the car.
Because I thought 317, I had 31310 in my head, and I want Peter to run it. Okay, let's move over to who's up next. It's Amy. Where's Amy?
Hi, this is Amy. I'm from Stellenbosch. I just wanted to find out, I currently own a 2018 Vitara, and I'm looking at upgrading. What would be the benefits of moving to the new Grand Vitara? Thank you.
That's Amy from Stellenbosch. What did you say? So, if I can just start off there, the 2018 Vitara was a Vitara. There was a GLS and it was a 1.4 turbo.
Yeah.
So, Peter, did you hear that question?
I did indeed, yes. Would you like me to kick off?
Please.
So I'm going to look at it from I think maybe a different way compared to Neville and Sean, and I'm going to say that the advantage of upgrading to the Grand Vitara is, for me, going to be that you're going to start off with a vehicle that has a brand new warranty, service plan, and you're going to have further peace of mind for the next X number of years moving forward. So that would be one of the things that I would look at. There's no doubt that as vehicles age, it takes more maintenance to keep them on the road, and we certainly do see a crossover point between that between older vehicles and then jumping into a nice fresh new vehicle. And the other advantage is you're going to get some of the later technologies.
Yes, because the Grand Vitara or the Vitara has been discontinued. So actually, Amy, I think that Peter had made a valid point there with your service plans and all your warranties in place, and there's not going to be much difference between the 1.6 GLS Vitara and the 1.5 in terms of driving feel and everything.
There's quite a bit difference between the two vehicles.
Yeah, but I think that the feel, my point is that the feel is the same regarding the suspension.
The quality of the vehicle.
So Amy, I hope that one answers your questions. And Kobus from Pofadder, how's it there?
Goeiedag, is Kobus van Pofadder hier. Ek besluit tussen die Grand Vitara en die Suzuki Jimny. Ek verkies die Grand Vitara se gerygerief. Maar ja, ek hou ook baie daarvan van die 4x4 capability van die Jimny. Kan julle my miskien 'n bietjie raad gee? Dankie.
Peter, I'm going to throw you in the deep end now.
Oh, this is very easy for me, Quibus. You need to buy both. I say that tongue in cheek, but the reality is that they are two very different vehicles. So I think that you need to decide what you want to buy the vehicles for. If you're going to do serious off-roading, then there's no doubt that the Jimny is the vehicle for you. But if you're going to be utilizing the vehicle as a daily transport vehicle, then the Grand Vitara is certainly going to be the one for you.
Ja, agree with that.
Ja, Kobus, daar van Pofvader, ek dink ook soos Pieter nou net gesê het, dit hang af waarvoor jy hom gaan gebruik. As jy nooit vir off-road gaan gebruik nie, is dit Grand Vitara. So daai keuse moet jy maak en sê hoeveel tyd gaan jy spandeer binne in bosse en so meer. Weet jy of jy saam sê nie?
Nee, 100%.
Ja,
Goed.
So we've got time for one more, and that's going to be Keith from Mitchell's Plain. Hello, Keith.
Hi, my name is Keith. I'm from Mitchell's Plain. My question today is that Suzuki claims that Vitara has a fuel consumption of 5.6 per every liter per every 100 kilometer for some models. So what is the current fuel consumption for the Vitara? Is it 7.5 or 6.9?
So Neville.
So realistically, I drive one myself. So I work on a kilometer per liter, so I'm going to have to back this now. So I drive the manual, and I drive relatively conservatively. So I get between 14.8 and 15.5 kilometers per liter. So that translates to, what is the liter?
6.5 liters.
6.5. He will take 6.5, yeah, which I feel is amazing. And the thing is, I drive through the one, and so I go up and down, I do inclines, declines, so it's not a straight road. And that being said, I mean, if I had to drive a straight road back home, it would be anything between 16 and 17 kilometers per liter, I would assume. So,
but I think the fuel consumption, there is a perimeter for the fuel consumption.
There is a perimeter,
but it's a relative concept.
If I can add to that fuel consumption query, and it's actually something that customers challenge the industry on, because a lot of times you see the sticker fuel consumption does not translate into reality when you're driving it. And I need to hasten to add that Suzuki, being a Japanese company, has a different methodology when it comes to developing the fuel consumption figures versus our European counterparts. Our European counterparts are more interested in measuring emissions, whereas the Japanese companies look specifically at the real world fuel consumption figures of a vehicle. So if Suzuki publishes a fuel consumption figure, the reality is you're going to get very, very close to that in real life.
Correct. So that's what I found as well, as opposed to, as you just mentioned, the European counterparts. It's they measure emissions, and they also test under ideal conditions, and I mean it's very close to what the claim fuel consumption is, what you get in real life. It is really close. Sometimes better.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Thank you for that one, Peter. And,
No, I'm saying that's the truth.
Yeah, so nothing added there on that one. So Keith, I think that answers your question for you. And also, it brings us to the end of another episode of the Suzuki Tiger Valley podcast. Peter Viljoen from Sitson, thank you for joining us today. It's been great having you, your insight and experience in the mix, and it was very informative. Thank you very much, Peter.
It's a great pleasure, and I hope you guys grow from strength to strength on your podcast.
Thank you very much on that one.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you,
And
Peter.
Neville, from you, thank you very much for today.
Yeah, thank you. And everybody, to all our listeners, come visit us at Suzuki Tiger Valley and come do a test drive on the Grand Vitara. You will not be sorry.
And Sean.
Yes, Peter, thank you very much for giving us some of your very valuable time today. We really appreciate it so much.
It's only a pleasure, gents.
Thank you. There we go. That's it for episode 4 today. And thanks for listening. And remember, wherever the road takes you, keep it Suzuki. See you next time.